Yo, 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 welcome to Proper Things, the FPL show brought to you by the ttfsl. It's your boy Michael back again with the final episode of season 2, so episode 30, and we're done for the 24-25 fantasy season. We've had a lot of fun, ups, downs, in betweens, great picks, bad picks, not so great luck, great luck. So I hope you all had fun listening to all the episodes this season, and let's kick things off with the final episode with the review of Game Week 37. Well, firstly, looking back at my Game Week 37 squad, I could honestly say it's been a horror show with the chips this season. Planning for things that didn't happen the way you think they would happen, missing the picks, and just misfiring with the chips. It was a 76-point game week, but of course we took a minus 12. But all the transfers, except for the Palmer hit, as Sanchez came in for Fabianski, he returned 6 points to Fabianski's 0, so a net of +2. Konza came in for Castagna, so that was a net of +11. The Palmer didn't hit, but Murphy also blanked. Well, he had 2 points, so it was just a -4 on that transfer. And then, of course, Watkins delivering the assist and a blank from Isaac. So still -1 on that, but all in all, it was still a great showing from the transfers. Unfortunately, the bench boost didn't really hit pay dirt. So the 76 points with -12, you're looking at the back line, was only Mikalenko returning as Byrne, Kanate, Munoz, all busted in the starting 11. Konza, of course, with the big 15 points on the bench. 9 points for the goalkeepers with Sel with 3 and Sanchez with 6. We're looking at the 5 across the midfield. And Bueno 5 points. Salah continuing to blank with 2 points. Bowen a brilliant goal for 8 points. De Bruyne blanking on his Etihad farewell with 3 points. And of course the Palmer blank 2 points clean sheet, but that's failures of a yellow for the 2 points. And then we're looking at the striking department. Cunha 1 point on his way now to United, so we're not too sure how his Wolves farewell is going to look. Watkins captained 5 points into 10, and of course Visa with the big 10-pointer. So all in all, not a great game week, but it did provide a green arrow as we are now up from just outside 35k into 28k 706. So not too bad, a nice little green arrow heading into the last and final game week. And finally, we have some players that we could move around. So without further ado, let's take a look at the red flags in my team. So looking at the team currently, starting off with the goalkeepers. So we have keeper versus keeper. We expect both of them to play as it's a crunch match for the UCL spots, European spots, with Sels versus Sanchez and Chelsea playing Forest, of course. So both of them will be in action. So content, but not too sure who I'm going to give the nod. That's going to be a Sunday morning problem. In defense, it is what it is right now. In order to refresh the defense, it's going to take a -4. And right now we're looking at Byrne, a great fixture on paper versus Everton. Kanate, Munoz, and of course Konza. 2 will get the start unless I decide to take the -4. I don't think I'll be playing Mikalenko away from home versus Newcastle. So it is what it is in defense. In midfield, KDB's last game in Sky Blue. It's going to be away to Fulham at Craven Cottage. So could be a game that he returns. What we said that in the Etihad farewell and he missed from point blank. The other midfielders, great place to be in. Bowen, great fixture. Salah, final game, looking to chase the record. And Bueno doing Bueno things, just chasing his stats. And of course, Cole Palmer again is going to be in the crunch match. However, in the striking department, we do have a guy that could be moved on for someone who I would be willing to take a punt on. And more on the striking options this week. But Cunha misfiring with the United transfer. All but 100% now confirmed. I'm not too sure how his minutes is going to look in the World's farewell. So there's a little concern there. And we're not too sure if we're going to play Watkins, Visa, great picks heading into Game Week 38. So now more into solutions and the transfers that could be made this upcoming game week. So now we move on to the solutions for this game week. But as we know, the 10 games are going to kick off simultaneously. So all the lineups are going to be leaked 15 minutes after the deadline. But for those savvy vets who are out there leak searching, the information could be out there if you have the right source, the trusted source, so you could get the pre-leaked teams and know who's going to start, who's going to get that spontaneous benching, and who's going to get that nostalgic start to get the one-up on your mini league rival. So Game Week 38 is always a week where leaks reign supreme. With that being said, we also know 5 teams that are going to go more or less full strength, and that's going to be Newcastle, Manchester City, Chelsea, Aston Villa, and Nottingham Forest. So if you can't access your team during the money minutes before the deadline, you're looking for early transfer, targeting one of these assets from these teams could be beneficial, as we know these 5 teams are more or less going to go full strength as they are jockeying for positions to get those final UCL spots behind Liverpool and of course Arsenal. So the players who you'll more or less look at here are going to be Burn, one of the Newcastle midfielders, whether it's Barnes, Gordon, Murphy, of course Isaac, Vardiol, KDB, and Haaland if not, Mars for City, Cucurella and Palmer for Chelsea, Konza, Rogers, Watkins, Aston Villa, and of course Milinkovic, Morgan Gibbs-White, and Wood for Nottingham Forest. And now that those 2 pieces of business are out of the way, remember that there are still great options from other teams, so let's take a look. Firstly, in the goalkeeping position, the number 1 keeper among all the keepers in the game is going to be Raya, fighting for the Golden Glove. Great fixture with Southampton. He's going to be locked in and trying to get that Golden Glove. So he's the number 1 keeper. In the tier just below, it's going to be Martinez from Aston Villa, who will tackle a Manchester United team that just lost the Europa League final. And of course, Edison, if you don't have Vardiol, away from home versus Fulham, but it's a game City have to win. Other great keepers, Kepa, pretty much, versus Leicester is a great pick, and you're practically going to be working with what you have. So if you have Cel Sanchez or one of the teams that are trying to get into those UCL position keepers, you're practically going to be a start. In defense, Vardiol for me is a player that I'm very much frightened of this game because I don't currently have him, so he's going to be number 1 on my list. If you have him, of course he's going to be a spot start. And here we are. For me, don't have him with Saliba's injury. Arsenal are pretty much forced now into playing Kiwior, so him and Raya practically locked in, so Kiwior is a great pick. And the off-the-cuff pick this week is going to be Kirkes for 5.1 million from Bournemouth. This could be Kirkes' last game for Bournemouth. Great fixture versus Leicester, so if you're looking for a defender, Kirkes spot start this week versus Leicester is a great pick. Now moving on to the midfielders, if you don't already have Rogers at 5.8 million now versus United, great pick. Aston Villa again fighting for the UCL. United, we don't know what shape they're going to be in after a final loss. Palmer moves down the list, but I have to put him here because against Forest could be a close game. He is on pence, but poor form again, pretty hefty price tag, 10.5 million. So if you don't already have him, probably not buying, but if you have him, mega differential. If you think he could return the points, you have to go with your gut with this one. Again, it's 38 game weeks and out, so it's not looking at future game weeks, just this game. Forest will start, Chelsea need the win. Morgan Gibbs-White on the flip side of that is Forest's best midfielder, 6.5 million. Great buy. And the off-the-cuff pick, if you get the Arsenal leaks and they are going more or less full strength, Saka and Martinelli. Saka is going to be a popular pick looking at the fixtures. Arsenal, of course, tackle Southampton, 10.3 million, though is not going to come cheap. Nelly is the alternative, 6.5. Maybe you want to go Trossard, but we have to remember that Kai is back in the team, so he may just get a little start to prove his fitness going into the future. We don't know what Arteta is going to do, but very wary of the Trossard pick, but mega differential nonetheless. And then we move into the forwards to close things out. Number 1 forwards this week to buy, Earls, if you don't have him. Pretty much, if you have the funds, you take him up. Wouldn't recommend taking multiple hits to get him in, though. 14.9 million, he isn't going to come cheap. Alternatively, Wonder Goal from Mamu, 7.5 million, probably is going to be more in the budget range. Great pick again versus Fulham away from home, need to win, so those 2 players, great picks this game week. Other forwards, off the cuff, if you get the Leaks and Kai starts at 7.7, could be a great mega differential in final game week. And of course, Evan Nielsen brings up the rear at 5.8 million. Special shout out to players like Son, who could be playing his last game for Spurs in the midfield. And of course, we don't know what's going to happen with some of the contracts from the United guys. So if you think this could be Bruno's last game for United, as there's rumors about a move to Saudi, could play him for nostalgia. But definitely, this is a week to just go with your gut. There's a lot of great players, so best of luck. Now, for those who are probably wondering what are my transfer plans for this week, well, it's currently unknown, and whoever is telling you that they have a transfer plan locked in right now probably already has the leaks. As I said, leaks are going to reign supreme, but off the cuff, I'm probably want to play the 3-4-3 formation, so I'll have to find a replacement for Cunha, so he'll be moved out for a striker that I think could score the most points on my punch striker for the game week. So that currently is the transfer plans. Again, leaks will rule game week 38. And finally, if you're wondering who to put the armband on, have no fear, as Captaincy Corner is here. And this week, there's going to be a lot of if, ands, and maybe. So listen closely. Number one, if you have him already, this is the week to just go mega differential. It's going to be Erling Haaland. 14.9 million for a must-win game. I think he's due to Haaland, number one on my list this game. Number two position, I'm going to put Watkins / Rogers. So if you have one or the other, they play them versus a United team that I don't know how they're going to be when they show up after using the Europa final. Must win for Aston Villa. If you have both, Eileen Watkins. In third, it's going to be Saka if the Gunners go strong. Big if they go strong. Saka, number 3 versus Southampton. Number 4, in a FET match, it's going to be a celebration on both sides. Salah versus Crystal Palace FA Cup champion, Salah Premier and Liverpool Premier League champion. So Salah comes in at 4. Could be big points here, could be small points. It's going to be a celebration nonetheless. FET match settings. And finally, the cheeky ball play for this game week. They're going to have 2 players here. KDB, if the league say he starts, final game in the Premier League for the Sky Blue. And of course, Mbeumo chasing stats. So those are your cheeky ball picks, KDB and Mbeumo, for game week 38. And that concludes Captaincy Corner for this game week. And that concludes this week's episode of Proper Things. And the final episode for season 2. It's been a great season. We had ups, downs, lifts and falls. So I hope you all enjoyed the ride nonetheless. And if you think this week's picks are picking, just remember to go down in the comment section and say, well done. If you think that you have better suggestions, you could go down there and say that as well. And while you're down there, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We had a great season. I hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you all get green arrows in the last game week. And best of luck for this game week and in the off season. Hopefully your team make the moves you want them to make. And finally, don't forget to do proper things on all walks of life. It's been a pleasure bringing season 2 to you all.